All right, next up, let's talk about how to set up permissions for the guest teams within Assemble. So in the last video, we went ahead and created two guest teams, our client team and our editors team, and we invited our first user to the client team. But what are they going to see when they create the account and log in? First of all, that's up to you to decide, and you need to go through and decide which elements of the project you want them to see. So we'll go through one by one. First of all, let's start with the phases. So as you know, you can create these phases, which are essentially the top level folders for all of your files and assets. And at the top of the phase, you can see quickly which teams have access to those phases. So if we want to add more teams, we just go ahead and come in here, click that person icon, and simply switch that team on. That team now has access to this phase. So we can go through and decide all the different phases that we want them to be able to see. We can add multiple teams, however we want to set that up. Additionally, maybe you've created some folders within a phase, and maybe we don't want them to see the entire phase, but we do need them to see one folder. Well, you could just jump into that folder and switch on the permissions for that folder only. And now they're only going to be able to see that folder and nothing else within that phase. So going a level deeper into the folder level. Now, let's go even one more level deeper. And let's say maybe we just want them to see one file within an entire phase. Well, you can do that as well. And so if we come here, open up any file, this can be a video, a photo, PDF, anything, and just come up here and click share and invite collaborators. And once again, we can just click and add those teams to that individual file. You've also got the ability to control whether they can download it or not from this screen. But let's go ahead and close that. And I want to talk about something because something important just happened when we added those users to this file. And so when we add any teams into a file, they're not just going to join our comment thread and be able to leave feedback the same place that our internal team is leaving feedback. What you'll see happen is on the right side of this file, when we added those teams, they now each have their own tab. And what this is a private feedback thread specifically for that team where all of their comments will be collected. Because I'm on the workspace team, I'm a paid user within the Block organization, I can see all of these feedback threads. And when the comments start to come in, I can jump in, I can reply, I can have conversations. But as we're going to see in the next video, when somebody on a guest team logs in, they can only see their own team. And what does that mean? It means they cannot join your internal feedback thread, and they can also not communicate with other guest teams. As we mentioned in video 1, there's no way for these teams to communicate with each other. They must flow communication through you as the conduit. So we're going to see examples of this in the next video, but an important thing to keep in mind. Another important thing to keep in mind is that this happens automatically through the entire platform. You don't ever need to go through files one by one and check to make sure that those users only have access to their own feedback thread. As an example, if we jump into one of our other folders here, as you recall, we added this team to this entire phase. And so if we jump into an asset here within this gallery, and let's go ahead and just open up the gallery, we could see that team thread was automatically added. So the way to think about these teams are really layers of the product. They can only see what you want them to see, and they can only communicate with who you want them to communicate with. Finally, let's talk quickly about the calendar, because this is a place where you can set permissions as well. So if we jump into the calendar, as you can see, we've built out this entire calendar, but maybe we don't want the client team to see everything on this calendar. Maybe we just want to simplify it for them so that they only see the things they need to see. Well, we can open up a task here, and within the task, you can see visible to all teams. And so if we click that, we can see who has access to this task. We can just uncheck it. Maybe this is only going to be visible to us. And I'll just go ahead and do that for a few more. Maybe, we want specific teams to see it and other teams not. But as you can see, you can just really control task by task who can see what. And then once again, on the side here, we have the tabs for each of those teams. And if we click it, we're going to be able to see the view that they're going to see when they log in. So just enables you to very quickly have a preview of what they're going to see. So this was an overview of how to set up those permissions for those guest teams. In the next video, we're going to log in as a guest into this project and see exactly what that guest will actually see in the experience that they will have.